In 1969, the world watched with bated breath as the lunar module arrived on the moon's surface, and Neil Armstrong, the first man to step on the moon, walked out of the lunar module with those famous words, "One small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." And all the world cheered, and the then US President Richard Nixon declared that this was the greatest day in history, and many people agreed with him, because it seemed like it had opened up a new horizon, that humanity was no longer an earthbound species. We had been to a new world. And because of such a technological triumph of human ingenuity, such a triumph of human courage, it seemed like now anything would be possible. While many people agreed with Richard Nixon that this was the greatest day in history, one man dared to disagree. The great Christian evangelist Billy Graham gently reminded the president the greatest day in history was the day that Jesus rose from the dead, that first Easter Sunday nearly 2,000 years ago. A much more significant day for all of humanity. Because while it's wonderful that Neil Armstrong went to the moon and a couple of dozen people have also walked on the moon, you and I are probably never going to get to the moon. So how does that make a difference for us? But Jesus' resurrection does transform us. It does mean something for you and I and for every person who has ever lived. What it means is that life now conquers death. Jesus had gone to the cross, sacrificed because of his love for all humanity and his love and obedience to God the Father. Jesus had chosen to offer his life as a sacrifice for all humanity. But did it work? What difference did that make? Would Jesus die one more lonely martyr? Or did in fact God accept Jesus' sacrifice as something for all humanity? By raising Jesus from the dead, God said, yes. God vindicated Jesus, vindicated his sacrifice, sealed that covenant. So it says that you and I are also involved in sharing in the resurrection life of Jesus. And Jesus wants to share that with us. It's not for him alone. Jesus didn't rise from the dead and say, fantastic, I'm back, good luck to the rest of you, I'm off to heaven now. No, Jesus then revealed himself to his immediate followers, then to many others. He showed himself and shared his life. He said, I send you out in my name. I send you out with the Spirit I'm going to send you so that you can live with my presence with you forever. And that is the great good news for us, because it means that all the things that feel like death in our lives, and we all have from time to time, we have sin, we have sadness, we have guilt, some people have despair and brokenness and emptiness and loneliness. When we have these things that feel like death, God's power to raise Jesus from the dead means that God can change our fear into hope, our death into life, our anxiety and brokenness into fulfillment and joy and life to the full. This is what the resurrection of Jesus means for you and means for me. It means our lives are different now and forever. And that's a lot to wrap your head around if that's the first time you've ever heard this. But even if you've heard it for many, many years, we can still come to it and ask questions like what and why and how does this work? And if you have questions, if you want to explore this year, what does Jesus' death on the cross and his resurrection new life mean for you? I invite you, come and explore those questions with us with Alpha. We are running the Alpha program in the coming weeks in our parish here at Epping, Carlingford, and we want you to take part. Alpha is a safe place to explore your questions, to ask your questions and to discover the answers, not be told them, to discover what it means, who Jesus is, who God is, who the Holy Spirit is, and what Jesus can mean for you and how your life can be different. There's a link to register for Alpha and some more information in the description below. But this is God's great news for us, that today we celebrate the greatest day in history. We celebrate every year for the last 2,000 years, and we will forevermore. Jesus has risen from the dead. This is the greatest day in history. Happy Easter.